I watched him propose to her from across the ballroom, my finger hovering over the confirm transaction button on my phone. $2 million, one click, and his secret fortune would vanish into thin air. My name is Jessica, and this is my hidden story. 3 months ago, I was supposed to be the one wearing that ring. Instead, I was standing in the shadows of his engagement party, about to execute the most satisfying revenge of my life. But let me start from the beginning, because you need to understand exactly why I did what I did. Daniel and I had been together for 6 years. 6 years of building a life together, planning our future, talking about kids and houses, and growing old side by side. We met in college. I was studying social work. He was in computer science. Classic opposites attract story, right? He was brilliant with technology, always working on some new project or startup idea. I loved his ambition, his drive, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about coding and cryptocurrencies, and all those things I barely understood. We moved in together after graduation. I supported us both while he worked on his projects, convinced that one day he'd make it big. I worked double shifts at the crisis center, came home exhausted, but always made sure he had dinner, a clean apartment, someone to listen to his ideas. He'd sit there with his multiple monitors, typing away, promising me that when he struck gold, we'd never have to worry about money again. The thing about Daniel was that he made you believe in him. He had this way of painting pictures of our future that seemed so real, so tangible. He'd pull me onto his lap after a long day and whisper about the house we'd buy, the vacations we'd take, how he'd take care of me the way I'd taken care of him. I fell for it every single time. Then came the crypto boom. Daniel had been mining and trading for years, but suddenly his investments exploded. Not that he told me the full extent of it. He mentioned some gains, bought us a nicer TV, upgraded his computer setup, but always said most of it was locked up in long-term investments. He was smart about it, he said. Didn't want to cash out too early and miss bigger gains. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? We were partners. We shared everything, or so I thought. The first crack in our perfect picture came when I found him on a dating app. It was an accident. I was using his tablet to look up a recipe when a notification popped up. Some woman named Victoria had matched with him. My heart dropped into my stomach. When I confronted him, he had excuses ready. It was just curiosity, he said. He'd never actually met anyone. He deleted the app in front of me, held me while I cried, promised it would never happen again. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. We'd built so much together. 6 years isn't nothing. So I pushed down my doubts, ignored the voice in my head screaming that something was wrong. I threw myself into making our relationship work, planning special dates, trying to reignite whatever spark he felt was missing. 2 months later, he ended it. Just like that, came home from what I thought was a normal day at his co-working space and told me he'd been doing a lot of thinking. He didn't love me anymore, had fallen out of love gradually. It wasn't my fault, he insisted. Sometimes people just grow apart. He'd already signed a lease on a new apartment. He'd move out by the end of the week. I sat there numb while he packed 6 years of our life into boxes. He was so calm, so methodical about it. Like he was debugging code instead of destroying my world. He left me the furniture, said it was only fair since I'd paid for most of it. Took his computers, his clothes, and walked out like I'd been nothing more than a roommate. The apartment felt hollow without him. Not just empty, hollow. Like all the life had been sucked out of it. I called in sick to work for a week. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My sister Lauren came to stay with me, forced me to shower, to eat something, to stop staring at the indent on his side of the bed. That's when I found the USB drive. It had fallen behind the desk when he'd disconnected all his equipment. Small, black, unremarkable. I almost threw it away, but something made me plug it into my laptop. Maybe I was hoping for photos of us, some evidence that our relationship had meant something to him. What I found instead made my blood run cold. Wallet addresses, private keys, transaction histories, a detailed spreadsheet showing cryptocurrency holdings across multiple exchanges and wallets. The numbers didn't make sense at first. I'm not tech savvy like he was, but even I could understand what $2 million meant. $2 million. While I'd been working double shifts, skipping meals to save money, patching up my 5-year-old work clothes, he'd been sitting on a fortune. The dates on the transactions went back 2 years. 2 years of him watching me stress about bills, worry about our future, deny myself basic things, because I thought we were saving together for our dreams. My hands shook as I scrolled through the files. There were notes too, plans to cash out, but not until after he'd simplified his life. That's what he'd called leaving me, simplifying his life. Like I was just clutter to be Marie Kondo'd away. I wanted to scream, to throw my laptop across the room, to hunt him down and demand answers. But then I saw something else in the files. Messages, screenshots of conversations with someone named Victoria. The same Victoria from the dating app. Only these messages went back 8 months. 8 months of him planning his exit, setting up his new life, all while I slept beside him every night, oblivious. They talked about waiting until after he left me to go public with their relationship. Didn't want the drama or any claims on his assets. She knew about the money, knew about me, had helped him plan his escape down to the last detail. There were even messages laughing about how I had no idea, how I was too trusting, too focused on my little nonprofit job, to notice what was happening right under my nose. I sat on my bathroom floor and cried until I threw up. Then I got angry, really, truly burning the world down angry. But I didn't do anything, not right away. I went back to work, started eating again. Let everyone think I was moving on. My friends praised me for being so strong, so mature about the whole thing. If only they knew that every night I stared at that USB drive, at those wallet keys, thinking about what I could do with them. The thing about cryptocurrency is that if you have the private keys, you have complete control. It's not like a bank account where transactions can be reversed or disputed. Once you move crypto, it's gone. Daniel had taught me that much during his endless monologues about blockchain technology. I could have taken it all, transferred every penny to my own wallet, and disappeared. Part of me wanted to. The money would have changed my life. But every time I considered it, I heard his voice in those messages, calling me predictable, safe, boring, number. If I was going to do this, I'd do it in a way he'd never see coming. I started researching charities, specifically charities that helped women escape financial abuse. The irony wasn't lost on me. I made a list of organizations, verified their wallet addresses, prepared everything I'd need to make multiple donations quickly and anonymously. Then I waited. Social media is a wonderful thing when you're cyber-stalking your ex. Victoria wasn't subtle about their relationship once enough time had passed. 3 months after he left me, their Facebook relationship status changed. The comments poured in. Apparently, they'd been friends for a while, and love had just happened. So romantic, so serendipitous, such bullshit. I watched their perfect life unfold in carefully curated posts. Expensive dinners, weekend trips, a new luxury apartment downtown, all funded by his secret fortune, no doubt. Victoria particularly enjoyed posting about their blessed life, how she'd found her soulmate, how good things come to those who wait. The engagement announcement came 6 months after our breakup. A stunning ring, a rooftop proposal, a party planned for the following month at the Grandview Hotel. She posted every detail, every update, even the exact time the party would start. She wanted the world to see her victory. She made it so easy. Getting into the party was simpler than I'd expected. The Grandview was massive. The party had over 200 guests, and I'd lost enough weight that I barely looked like myself anymore. A cocktail dress, different hairstyle, and heavy makeup. I was just another face in the crowd. I stayed on the edges, nursing a champagne glass I never drank from. watching them work the room. Daniel looked good, happy, relaxed in a way he'd never been with me. Victoria sparkled on his arm, showing off her ring to anyone who'd look. They were golden, glowing, perfect. It was almost time for the speeches. I found a quiet corner and pulled out my phone. The charity wallet addresses were already loaded, the transactions prepared. All I had to do was execute them. My heart pounded as I watched the best man tap his champagne glass, calling for attention. Daniel took the microphone, one arm around Victoria, that same charming smile I'd once loved spreading across his face. He started talking about destiny, about finding your person, about how sometimes you have to make hard choices to find true happiness. That's when I started clicking. Transaction 1, $500,000 to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. He was talking about Victoria now, how she'd changed his life, opened his eyes to what love really meant. Transaction 2, $300,000 to the Women's Emergency Shelter Network. The crowd was awing at some story about their first date. Victoria wiped away a perfectly placed tear. Transaction 3, $400,000 to the Financial Recovery Foundation for Women. More transactions, more charities. Each confirmation felt like dropping a weight I'd carried for months. I split the entire $2 million between 12 organizations, each one dedicated to helping women escape situations where men had financial power over them. Daniel was wrapping up his speech now, raising his glass for a toast. That's when his phone buzzed. He ignored it at first, but it kept going. Buzz after buzz after buzz. Transaction notifications, security alerts. His free hand went to his pocket, his speech faltering. I watched his face change. The color drained as he pulled out his phone, trying to maintain his smile while his eyes processed what he was seeing. Victoria noticed, touching his arm, confused. He whispered something to her, tried to continue the toast, but his voice cracked. More buzzing, more notifications. He excused himself, practically running from the small stage. Victoria followed, her heels clicking against the marble floor. The crowd murmured, confused. The best man awkwardly took over, trying to salvage the moment. I slipped out during the chaos. The last thing I heard was Daniel's voice, high and panicked, echoing from the hallway. "It's gone! It's all gone! How is it all gone?" I walked 3 blocks before the adrenaline wore off and my legs started shaking. I called Lauren to pick me up, told her I'd had too much to drink at a work event. She didn't question it. In the car, my phone lit up with news alerts. Anonymous cryptocurrency donations totaling $2 million had been received by multiple women's charities. The organizations were calling it a miracle, planning expansions, new programs, safe houses. Daniel never reported the theft. How could he? He'd hidden those assets during our relationship. Reporting it would mean admitting to tax evasion, explaining where the money came from, opening himself up to investigation. He was trapped by his own deception. I kept tabs on him for a while. The engagement lasted another month before Victoria left him. Turns out she was only interested in the luxury lifestyle. Without the crypto fortune, Daniel was just another tech bro with big dreams and empty pockets. He had to sell the fancy apartment, move back to a studio. Last I heard, he was working at a startup, trying to rebuild. Sometimes I wonder if he knows it was me, if he connected the dots between finding that USB drive missing and his fortune vanishing. Part of me hopes he does. Part of me hopes he lies awake at night thinking about every double shift I worked, every sacrifice I made, every time he watched me count pennies while sitting on millions. But mostly, I don't think about him at all. I think about the women in those shelters, starting over with help from anonymous donations. I think about the programs funded, the lives changed, the cycles broken. I think about how his betrayal accidentally led to something good. People ask me sometimes if I'm bitter about my ex, if I wish things had ended differently. I tell them no, I'm grateful. He taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. And if they happen to leave their cryptocurrency keys behind, well, consider that karma's interest payment. I never told anyone what I did. Not Lauren, not my friends, not even my therapist. This secret sits inside me like a warm ember, glowing quietly. On bad days, when I doubt myself or feel small, I remember that night. The clicking of buttons, the draining of wallets, the perfect timing of it all. Daniel thought I was predictable, safe, boring, too trusting to ever surprise him. He was wrong about that. He was wrong about a lot of things. But mostly, he was wrong about keeping those private keys on an unencrypted USB drive. That's just basic cybersecurity failure right there. You'd think a crypto enthusiast would know better. Then again, he also thought he could plan his entire exit strategy in writing, and I'd never find out. So maybe Daniel wasn't as smart as he thought he was. I'm doing better now, got promoted at work, started dating again, someone who doesn't hide money or girlfriends. Someone who splits the check and shares his passwords, and doesn't make me feel crazy for expecting basic honesty. It's nice, normal, drama-free. Sometimes I volunteer at one of the shelters that receive the donations. They don't know who I am, of course. I'm just another volunteer, helping women fill out paperwork, find resources, rebuild their lives. They tell me their stories about partners who controlled the money, who hid assets, who left them with nothing. I listen, I understand. I help them find their way forward. And every time I see a news article about those anonymous crypto donations, about another woman getting back on her feet thanks to that miracle funding, I smile. Daniel wanted to simplify his life by removing me from it. I'd say mission accomplished. Just not quite the way he planned.